Alright, what's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we'll be looking at Skylords Reborn, the new difficulty modes for the random generator PvE maps. I'll be playing the difficulty on Expert, which is similar to the old difficulty between 9 and 10, and I'll review the map and explain how this is a step up to building towards completing your first rPvE 10 or Expert Plus right now. I'll also be using a very old rPvE deck, which is Battleforge deck, probably out of meta quite a while ago when Battleforge was nerfed, the Red Affinity Battleforge. And without further ado, let's take a look at the map. Let me take a pause here and let's explore some of the map mechanics. And you can see the first camp here. Nothing special, but we can see that there's fewer enemy troops here. Usually for rPvE 10 there will probably be like one more set of spearmen and shaman, or even one bird flying, like the bandit bird flying around. And the first camp, pretty standard, but let's take a look at the further camp. There are many bandit tents all around, and yes, this is a base that doesn't have the bandit tent. Over here, the third monument doesn't have the bandit tent, so this is really good for players trying to hit level 10 but don't want the full force of enemy troops, as there's a few camps without spawning bandit tents, about 3. There's a lot of bosses like the Equestrian Twins, the Banzai Lord, the Command Walker, a lot of the boss units. Yeah, so I think this map would prepare you for rPvE 10 in a way where it will help you to plan out your troop attacks without having the full force of the enemy attacks, but have quite the same amount of enemy camps with a lot of the boss troops that are around. And I guess to prepare you more for rPvE 10, or if you're going to play rPvE 10, you would have to build strong towers to protect your second orb, or even have some tier 1 units that can able to take down the adjacent third monument camp. Usually for the rPvE 10, that there might be really strong units, so you have to really get quite a number of strong tier 1s, or build your second orb and summon some good tier 2 towers. For my deck, I could use it to run the most difficult rPvE map, which is Expert Plus currently. Let's see how I fare for this first run of the Expert difficulty rPvE. Yep, so in the beginning I will summon some nomads, the Green Affinity. I always prefer the Green Affinity as they can heal each other. I also have some makeshift towers to knock back small units that's attacking my camp. Very useful in delaying enemy attacks, because the makeshift tower doesn't do a lot of damage and it will slowly decrease the unit's health, especially for ranged units. After a while, because of the knockback, because of the knockback of the small units, you won't really kill off the ranged units, so you don't get the full brunt of the enemy forces getting spawned at the tent and attacking your main base. Yeah, so for this I'll have some mines to help me out with clearing the ground troops. Yeah, then take down the tent. However, for the first step, I made a little bit of a mistake after clearing the camp. The mistake I made was to build a power well and my second orb too quickly. I should have waited for more power for me to build towers. The reason why you want to avoid building this at the start very early on, because there are always enemy troops, as shown, that will come from the base behind, and it will attract more enemy units across this base, as you can see right here. For rPvE, for the hardest rPvE level, you have to expect like 2 times more enemy units that will come attacking your base. And yes, you can see my first tier 2 tower has been built here. because I can't defend my base. So the tip to when you should destroy your towers is when you capture your next monument. The enemy camps only attack the most recent monument that you have built, or the one that is furthest into the map. Yeah, so when you build your tier 2, you attack your tier 2, not your tier 1, and when you build your tier 3, you attack your tier 3 and not your tier 2. Later I'll explain some exceptions to these enemy attacks on your monuments. Yeah, I have a couple of time vortex. And since this is my first time playing rPvE on expert difficulty, I didn't know that there wasn't a tent at the third monument, because usually for rPvE 10 there's tents almost in every, like spawning camps almost in every sort of enemy camps. Yeah, so for this case you don't have to build so many towers. And yeah, I will be capturing my third monument. And this is where the exception comes. You have built your third monument and naturally the enemy units would attack your third monument. However, some enemy units would still target your second monument because of the camps right at the bottom, these two tents. The only way for them to attack your third monument is to go through this second line area where it passes through your second monument. So this is only a special exception where you have to keep your towers at both bases. I also have the help of enemy monument to quickly get a scout of the map, because this is my first time playing it. However, after finishing this map, I realized you don't really have to have enemy monument to finish the map, because there's no spawning camps at your fourth monument. Although there is a boss right over here, but tier 3 units is sufficient enough to take down that camp quite easily without any problem at all. Yeah, so I have my Cultist Master, Furnace of Flesh, and getting back my Void Power. And my Batterio run. Yeah. So as you can see, my 5 monument at the base has been destroyed and replaced with the Nature Orb. So I got 2 Nature Orbs for Enlightenment and 2 Shadow Orbs for the Cultist Master. Yeah, so from here on is very straightforward. If you don't really know what the Batterio deck is basically summoning one Batterio and have it run the entire map by giving it buffs so that it doesn't die and healing it. Got some crowd control as well. And take a look at my base here. This is how I defend. However, this is a bit too much. You don't have to summon too many towers. Yeah, this is how I run the map. Not much of an issue here because generally bandit maps are pretty easy to complete. If it were another faction, might be a little bit more difficult for you. Over here, my mistake, I didn't have enough power. I wasn't concentrating on having my Cultist Master summoning the Nightcrawlers to get my power back. Yeah, so in the end, didn't have power to heal my Batterio and he died. But not much of an issue. We got lots of time. Time isn't much of an issue for single player rPvE map runs. Alright, very good. Buffs, attacking. Yeah, my Batterio is basically invincible if I got tons of tower, healing spells, crowd control spells, and buffing spells. Alright. Yeah, it's very simple. And yeah, my last camp here. And this is how I run the map of the new difficulty expert in rPvE. I'll also be trying out the toughest expert plus. However, if you have seen my rPvE 10 gameplays quite like a number of years back, you should know that it's not an issue for me to complete the hardest map. But nonetheless, I'm curious to see if there's anything different for the expert plus map. And I hope you enjoy my video. Do give a like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys from the next video again.